welcome to the Lolo Cynthia show. My name is Lolo Cynthia. On today's episode, we're talking about something quite serious because I am talking to different young men who are living with HIV. Yes, that's what today's episode is all about. We're going to be hearing from these men. They're going to tell us how and when they found out that they have HIV. Some of them were born with HIV. Some of them contracted HIV later in life. So we're going to be hearing a lot from them. But we're also going to hear from a HIV program specialist that's going to share with us how someone who has HIV can become undetected and untransmittable, even if they have sex with someone without a condom. They cannot pass the virus. I am very excited to share this information with the general public, especially because we live in a society where stigma, shame, and ignorance, roam scot-free when we talk about HIV and AIDS. So get ready to be tantalized by some of the conversation that you're going to hear today, and I hope that it changes your mindset or gives you the needed information and knowledge that you need to navigate the world where we have many and millions of people who are living with HIV. Why haven't you told your family yet that you are positive?
Okay, it's a lot. It's a very sensitive topic. So the news came as a shock to me. I was full of regrets. After you see your results and you're positive, because you start thinking, you start wondering, is it Mr. A or B, C? Especially when you know, okay, you've had a lot of body count and multiple sexual partners. So it's hard to keep track.
Our first guest on the show is Francis from Nigeria. Francis shares with us that he was diagnosed in 2017 and has been living with the disease since then. However, nobody in his family knows that he is actually HIV positive. So he's using our platform today to share this news with his family. And I'm very excited, like I always say, to have this conversation with him so we can hear some of his life experiences and some of the triumphs and challenges that he's going through living as a HIV positive man in Nigeria. Thank you so much, Francis, for joining us on the show today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Francis, you shared with me that you contracted HIV in 2017. I would love to know how old you were, when you contracted HIV, and how did you react to the news when you knew that you were positive, when you found out?
Okay, so I contracted it that was 2017. I was 19 years old then, but I was diagnosed 2018. That was when I got tested, 2018. So the news came as a shock to me. I was full of regrets. I had to regret everything, and I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. I thought it was an end line for me because all I could think of is just death. This is the end line for you. You're going to die. You're going to be sick, and then you will die, and then that's all.
You said that you were only diagnosed in 2018. What prompted you to go get tested? Because we know not a lot of men just, take themselves to the hospital. What made you go to the hospital to get tested for HIV?
So I hardly get ill. So I had I started becoming sick regularly. So I had first of all I had what's it called constipation. So from the constipation, I had rashes all over my skin. So it got to the extent I was like, okay, you know what? I should go and get tested for all kinds of STDs. So the result came out, and HIV was the only one that came out positive. And the doctor called me in. I was like, okay, do I have a family member I have to talk to? This is it. And, they can put me on treatment and all those kind of things. But then I told him that he should give me time to go home to think about it. So I went home, gave it a tour. I cried my eyes out, and then I'm like, okay, fine. So I went back to him, and then I asked him, what are the process? What do I need to do? And how much will it cost? So he was like, I don't need to pay anything. So I had to run a blood bank test and some other tests, and then to determine which kind of ARV medication to put me on. So I started my treatment immediately. The first three months was hell because I noticed some change. At night, I can't sleep. My body was reacting to a lot of things. I was feeling very dizzy. I lost appetite in a lot of things that I used to eat. And I started eating things that I'm not used to. And I started eating a lot.
Is it challenging to remember to take your medication? And I'm honestly, because I asked this, I have vitamins just beside my bed corner, right? I wake up in the morning and I remind myself that I'm going to take my vitamins. By the end of the day, I have forgotten to take my vitamins. Do you experience that as well? Because remembering to take something every single day, are there days where you actually forget that you are on medication?
Yes. Yeah, there are days I actually forget, like, okay, I'm not taking my break. So, um, I normally I take it from the main container, but then I noticed that I normally skip some days. So I got there is this long, I don't have it here. There is this long box. It has it from Monday to Sunday, whereby you can keep track of your medication. So when I missed it, I know, okay, I missed this day. But now I don't see it as a problem because I don't see it as taking a multivitamin.
We are going to be talking to a number of also HIV positive men, some born with it, some, just like you got it later in their
Yeah.
life. And the one question I'm asking everybody is, how does this affect your romantic life? Are you forced to disclose your status to someone that you feel is the potential romantic partner? And when you share your status, how do those people, how do they react to that? How has it affected your romance and your social life?
For me, I feel personally, it's a personal choice to disclose it or not to disclose it. And sometimes it's good to disclose it when it's necessary. But sometimes it's not good, but rather you place it to protect the other person. In as much as I'm undetected, I still place it. If I feel like I don't want to tell you about my health status, I feel like it's none of your business, so I don't tell you. But if I feel like I can trust you, I owe you that, then I can actually tell. So it's a personal choice.
I see. This is quite it's interesting because I also like the tone of your voice. I like how you look really good. Hello? You look healthy.
You know?
We're using this to also show people that, people who have HIV live normal, healthy lives, happy lives, loving lives.
Yes,
And that is
of course.
possible. But you shared something with me that, I want us to get into because that's actually, it's a very serious conversation that we're having as much as we're,
Yeah.
making it quite fun. You said that nobody in your family knows that you have HIV.
Yes. Just my aunt.
Just your aunt. I mean, you're
My
on the
aunt.
show today to talk about the fact that you have
Yeah,
HIV.
yeah,
So I
yes.
just want to be able to, prepare you that the family is going to see this video. So this is your way of coming out to them to let them know that you are positive. And why haven't you told your family yet that you are positive?
Um, okay. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a very sensitive topic, first off. And it's a lot to deal with. And most people are not really educated or learning about things like that. It's just things they get from people. So they hold on to that. So I feel like my family, most people in my family, I owe them. It's not like as if I owe them to tell them that I'm HIV positive. The only person I feel like, okay, I really need to talk personally, and I don't know if she gets to say this, which is my mom. And yeah, I've been dying and been wanting to tell her, but then I feel like it's going to be too much for her to handle because she cherishes me so much and she wants to see me grow and be to be very ambitious and all that. Like she has this high dream for me. So me telling her, I feel like it's going to break her because she'll feel maybe it's the end of the road for me. And if she wants to contact HIV, that means apparently you're going to have kids who have HIV. But today it's not the same. The case is different today. I mean, I can have kids and my kids are HIV free because I've already paid the price. I've already worked so hard to be where I am today. So for me, I feel like I don't really need all my family member into my business. The only person I really want to know about this is my mom and my aunts. Then probably my grandma, which my grandma, I don't really, pay much attention about that. But then, yeah. So family, most people don't tell their family because it's come with judgmental discrimination, questions on unnecessary questions will keep popping up. And these are things we don't want to hear.
You know, the beginning of our conversation, you said when you found out that you were HIV positive, you felt traumatized, one, but there's a lot of regret going back, playing out what happened, who could it have been, how did I get it? For someone to ask you that question, does it now take you back to that position, you know, to that moment when you were just diagnosed? Is that one of the reasons why those kind of questions can be off-putting?
Yeah, because after you see your results and you're positive, because you start thinking, you start wondering, is it Mr. A or B, C? Especially when you know, okay, you've had a lot of body count and multiple sexual partners, so it's hard to keep track.
Now that you know, like you said, the main person that you're thinking about is your mom. How would you want your mom to react when you tell her or disclose your HIV status? What do you think would be the best, will I say the best response or reaction from her that would give you peace?
Where I am now, I'm at peace. However she chooses to react, I'm not seeking for peace. I mean, it's her right to react that way, and I expect her to react that way. So it's my duty to educate her and tell her, so this is it. I've had this for all those years. I've battled with it, and I'm still living, and I'm still your son. It doesn't change who I am. So it's left for me to tell her, this doesn't change me, but I define it.
Yes. I love that because you just answered the next question I was going to ask to wrap up the show. And I was going to ask you, what would you want to tell your mom? You know, if she's watching this, what would you want to tell her or tell whoever it is that is a loved one that you haven't disclosed your HIV status to? What would you want them to know about you as a man, not just as a HIV positive man, as a human being? What would you want them to know? This is an opportunity to tell them.
Well, everybody in my family knows I'm a fighter. I'm strong, I'm brave. I want all of them to know that I'm still that person, nothing changed.
Thank you so much, Francis, for joining us on the show. It has been an immense pleasure having you on the show. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Come back. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. We are still on the issue of young men living with HIV in Africa. Reports actually say that men in Africa don't test for HIV. They are less likely to test for HIV versus women. And we wanted to find out if these statistics or if these reports actually reflect what we see on the ground. So next, you're going to be hearing from different young men in Kenya who share with us if and when they tested for HIV and some of the views that they have concerning the disease.
For me, I've not taken the test because I've not yet found the interest in taking it because mi hujichunga sana.
Making that decision is quite hard. That's the first thing. Been interested a couple of times. Every time you're about to do that, you give yourself an excuse. It's a problem that affects many people in campus as well as high school because opportunities for testing are so many, but we find ourselves just limiting ourselves to, I know myself and I know I don't have it.
Yes, I took the test, not once. Every time ukienda hosi, you have to take the test. So for me, I took. And why I think guys fear, that is for the fear of unknown. Whatever I get is what will happen.
Now you have a baby girl, beautiful lady, beautiful girl, by the way. Parents to child transmission is definitely a thing. Just like yourself, you were born with it. Was your daughter also born with it? Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that. Again, we are still on the matter of young men who are living with HIV in Africa. Our first guest was someone who contracted HIV later in life, but the next two guests are men from Uganda who say they were born with HIV. Our first guest is Mr. William Matovu from Uganda. He's a 29-year-old man who has a beautiful daughter and he's married and, you know, he has found love and he seems to be living a life filled with kindness and joy. So we're very excited to be talking to him today to hear his story of when and how he actually found out that he had HIV and how he was able to find love, have a child, and build the life that he wants. I love happy endings, so I can't wait to get into this conversation.
Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is William and this is my time to take my meds wanna maintain you because you. The only thing that is will gonna make or maintain your virus suppressed or to maintain you because you is this medication. If you take it as directed by your medical personnel, automatically you will achieve undetectable viral load. Never miss treatment. Take it as prescribed by your medical personnel.
Thank you so much, Mr. William, for joining us on the show today. Thank you.
Thank you too for hosting me.
Thank you. William, you are very vocal about your HIV status, and you shared with me that you were born with HIV. When did you discover that you actually had HIV? Because the one thing I always ask people who were born with HIV is that, were you aware when you were a baby, or was this something that you only became aware of when you were a teenager or an adult? So when and how did you even find out that you had HIV?
I got to know about my status at the age of 14. By that time, that was 2008, and I was staying with my stepmother. But back in the days, I used to fall sick each and every time, and I could not know the real cause. And by the time my parents passed on, that's when I knew that I'm living with HIV.
When you found out that you were positive, HIV positive, how did that affect you? What did you do when you had that result?
So I shed a tear because of what I heard people talking about HIV.
What did people say about what was it that you heard about HIV from other people?
Basically, people, they don't really differentiate between HIV and AIDS in our local environment where we stay. They could say HIV, AIDS kills, HIV kills. So when I had that kind of information around my community, when I tested and I knew about my status, I felt so bad because I knew that at that time I would die and call my late father and my mother as well.
It's time for taking my medication. I always take them at around 10. So I'm gonna swallow my medication right now. I'm taking now my medication. Come on, we enjoy. I'm taking my medication, friends.
So from that difficult childhood to the adult that we see now that is a HIV advocate, you are married, you have a beautiful little girl, you are living a life that a lot of HIV positive men think is impossible. You have love in your life. You seem very happy. You seem very confident. You're going from conferences to conferences and you're being recognized internationally. People living with HIV are afraid that they will never be able to find love or be able to have a family. Was this a fear of yours as well?
The journey of living with HIV, as far as relationship is concerned, for all people living with HIV in general, it is really tricky. I personally have struggled with the relationships to find a great partner. So it is quite challenging because of the stigma around our communities and families as well.
Now you have a baby girl, beautiful lady, beautiful girl, by the way. Parent to child transmission is definitely a thing. Just like yourself, you were born with it. Was your daughter also born with it?
Now my daughter is HIV free. All the PCRs that have been done, they show negative results.
So how were you able to get this? Because most people don't know this. The first thing is, oh, you have HIV first, you can't get married. And if you get married, your child is going to have HIV. So how were you able to ensure that your partner was also not infected, thus your child was not infected as well?
It is because of following doctor's instructions. Actually, as a person living with HIV, if you are on effective treatment and you religiously take your medication very well, that means you cannot transmit HIV sexually to your sexual partner. So, following doctor's instructions is the crucial part.
You have been a very strong force in the advocacy space, especially for HIV prevention, and you're very public about your HIV status. When did you decide to go public with your HIV status, and why did you decide to do that? That was such a bold move.
So it was around 2012 when I came out publicly. I used social media. That was my Facebook page by that time. Due to what I went through home and the community as well, and seeing my fellow young people living with HIV in my community and around the globe, we share the same challenges. So I came out publicly to advocate for those voiceless voices to ensure that they are valued in this world, to ensure that they have access to treatment, they had ear well to their medication, and even to create a stigma-free society whereby those living with HIV and those who are not living with HIV work together in a harmonized society.
Thank you so much, Mr. William, for sharing your story with us. Really appreciate it.
People used to call me Omlambo Gambra, dead body. They call me dead body. Some of them they just tell you, rest in peace. For you, you're already dead. Sometimes I feel, yeah, I'm already dead.
Welcome back to the show. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. Our next guest is King Faisal, again from Uganda, a young man who was born with HIV. You know what is interesting about life is that even if two people have the same disease, live in the same country, they have different experiences. Because our next guest is someone who struggles with his romantic life. He shares that his HIV status is something that has caused some form of like a barrier and a friction when it comes to finding love. So I'm very excited to talk to him today to hear about his story, to tell us how he even found out that he has HIV and some of the challenges that he's going through as a HIV positive man in Uganda.
Just abantu bangu okujajinga nagamba oyo gaali bwati naye nga takumanyi tatuulangako naawe.
Faisal, you shared with me that you were born with HIV. How did you find out that you actually had HIV? Was it something that a family member told you, or how? Because I know that if you're born with it, it's not something you just know automatically. When did you find out, and how did you find out that you had HIV?
I find it in the bad way. Always I can tell differently. It was suddenly happened at school. That moment, my auntie was traveling, going somewhere, because my aunt from the beginning was keeping my medicine. I didn't know I was taking the medicine. I don't know what medicine is for RVs or for what or for HIV. But for me, that moment happened. My aunt was traveling. My aunt told me back. I put my medicine in a suitcase. When after that friend of mine was the time the moment that friend of mine always come in my suitcase with everything in my suitcase. That friend of mine was looking at sugar. Went in my suitcase without asking me. After waiting there, the medicine was very near. That friend of mine read about my medicine. After reading the medicine, a friend of mine wait what to call prep, reading prep, revising night, and came and just clapped in the hand and started to announce we have
Wow.
a person who doesn't resemble to be here with us. Is there someone who doesn't be here? Even I waited to see. The guy did the cutting like this. There's someone who's taking ARVs because always the people knows about ARVs. But for me myself, I didn't know. I was shocked. My heart just pumped like this. That immediately I ran away and I checked on my suitcase. Going to see my suitcase, there was just left one thing, but one thing is missing. That time I was so shocked, my dear friends. I was so shocked
Wow.
completely. I decided to leave the school. I left the school without saying bye bye or to any person. I just ran away in that night, that very night, because I was so shocked. I was feeling that time to moment to kill myself, to lose my life, because something can shake your heart, your head, and sometimes you feel too bad because the words you hear from different people they say.
Remember me in whatever you do. I love you.
What were they calling you? What were some of the words that people used to call you?
The words people used to call me Omlambo Gambra, dead body. They call me dead body. Some of them they just tell you rest in peace. For you you're already dead. Sometimes I feel yeah, I'm already dead.
Zungangishilana, Jerusalema, ikayalami, ilondoloze, uhambe nami. Zungangishilana, dawo yami, ayikholana, buso wami.
You've been taking this drug since you're a child, but you did not know that what you were taking were ARVs. What did you think you were taking? What drug did you think you were taking?
Because the fact is always our family they tell us they can tell you a different disease. This is what you cannot just be fearing. Always you say that is normal. They cannot tell you the fact you're having HIV. They can't. They can tell you you have sickle cells, you have sugar, you have this and this. That's why you have to take that medicine. They get any disease. Yeah, that moment I didn't know. That is ARVs.
Wow.
That when a person who is living with HIV starts and continues and stays on ARV every day, that the person will be able to achieve what we call undetectable viral load. That means the person will have condomless sex with a sexual partner. Yes, condomless sex with a sexual partner, and the person will not be able to transmit HIV to the partner.
Welcome back, sir. Our last guest for the show is Ugo from Nigeria. He is a HIV program specialist that's going to be giving us expert opinion regarding the disease and some of the breakthroughs that, has come out when it comes to HIV prevention. Something that I find to be very intriguing about Ugo is that he used to be a primary school teacher, but something happened in his life that pushed him into the HIV field. So I'm very interested to hear about that. What motivated you to leave education to go into HIV prevention? So we're going to be talking about that. Ugo is also someone that, diagnoses and tests for HIV for young men in Nigeria. So we're going to be asking him, what are the rates of HIV positive men that he sees in his center? These are some of the conversations that we're going to be having in my interview with Ugo. Check it out. Thank you so much, Ugo, for joining us on the show today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Ugo, I am super excited to talk to you because you shared with me that you used to be a primary school teacher before you moved into the HIV field. Explain to me the movement from the primary school to HIV. What made you go into that field?
I was in Maiduguri in the northeast, Borno State. I was a classroom teacher, but something happened. I met a friend, a wonderful friend by name Eze of blessed memory. I lost him. Before then, he became sick, so I had to take care of him while he was on admission. So while he was on admission, he slipped into coma. The coma looks like somebody sleeping, not waking up. The sleep was so long, and I became worried, and I started asking the doctors, the healthcare workers, okay, what's wrong with my friend? What is happening? He has been sleeping, he's not waking up. So the doctor now asked me and said, okay, who are you to him? I said, he's my friend. And I said, he didn't tell you anything. I said, no, he didn't. What's the problem? We are not children here. Can you just talk to me? I became more worried. So he now said, okay, that he was living with HIV and this is AIDS stage because he became terribly bad. Unfortunately, a few days after he passed on. So that incident made me to pick up this challenge, talking about it. He was my friend and he didn't tell me. And I was like, if he had told me this wouldn't have gotten to this, I know it wouldn't have gotten to that. So I said, okay, nobody else should die of HIV. HIV is treatable, HIV is preventable, and wonderfully, we now have drugs, ARV, that when someone is on it, the person will be doing well, amazingly well.
And now that you are a HIV program specialist, I know you see a lot of men who have HIV or who are coming in to test for HIV. What are the rates of HIV positive young men specifically that you see in your center where you work right now?
Lola, I must tell you that it bleeds my heart that it's as if we are not making progress among young people. You know, in a month, I will see like 5 young persons, ages between 16 and 24, testing positive.
Walk me through the journey of someone who just comes to your center, gets tested, is positive. What do you do next?
Okay. The next thing, of course, there should be counseling. There should be pre-test counseling. There should be post-test counseling. Then the outcome of the test and the result comes out, maybe testing positive. Then we'll go for treatment. We'll start ARV, or what we call antiretroviral and treatment or therapy, ART. So the ART is when someone commences daily HIV treatment, So you take the pill every day. So the person starts treatment and to be able to achieve U equals C on time.
Can you break down this HIV campaign U equals U for us? For many people who do not know what that is.
Amazingly, you can see it written on me. See what I'm wearing, U equals U. I don't know if you can see it clearly. So I am so happy that this is scientific fact. The first U says undetectable HIV viral load. And the second U says untransmittable HIV. What does that mean? That when a person who is living with HIV starts and continues and stays on ARV every day, that the person will be able to achieve what we call undetectable viral load. That is, when a test which is called viral load test is done, then the result comes out and say undetectable or suppressed. That means the person will have condomless sex with a sexual partner. Yes, condomless sex with a sexual partner, and the person will not be able to transmit HIV to the partner. And let me even tell you this, WHO in July gave out what is called policy brief. And this policy brief is for them endorsing that U equals U is a fact, is real, it works. Young persons will not think that it stops at HIV diagnosis, it stops at testing HIV positive, it stops at that. No, there is life beyond HIV, and U equals U ensures that.
You've spoken about ARVs. These are for people who are diagnosed with HIV. But what about people who are not positive yet, but probably in a relationship with someone who is positive? And yes, they know that this person is, undetected or untransmittable. But there is still that, for some people, there is still that fear, that concern for what can I do to prevent myself from getting HIV. So what can other people who are not positive yet do to protect themselves, from contracting HIV apart from using condoms? What are are the medications available? What are the things available out there?
Thank you, Lola. I let me take what you just said. You said apart from condom. So science again has made it simple for us that in HIV management, you can both treat and prevent. So for someone who is already living with HIV, you treat on daily basis, you take your ARV every day. For someone who is not living with HIV, who is HIV negative, but at risk of acquiring HIV, maybe you have a partner living with HIV, or maybe you don't always like using condom, you have multiple sexual partners, or you have you are a transitional, you engage in transitional sex, or maybe you don't have the power to say no to sex because of economic reasons or all that. Science got this group of people covered. Again, people who inject drugs, who share needles, and all that. They will take what is called PrEP, P-R-E-P, PrEP. So it is an acronym. It is pre-exposure prophylaxis. So it's a pill that people who are not living with HIV can take, whether daily or event-driven or on demand, right? So they take it to be able to prevent HIV. So you take it before exposure, pre-exposure prophylaxis. It's everywhere. And let me say this, Lolo. For someone who is at risk of acquiring HIV and on PrEP, you don't need the permission of your sexual partner, because this is your sexual health. I might be taking PrEP and my partner might not know, because I want to protect myself. I don't know the HIV status of my partner, and my partner might not allow me to use condom, right? So I am taking PrEP in the comfort of my room, in the comfort of my house, and my partner will not know. I am protected. And even if my partner is living with HIV or doesn't even know his or her HIV status, I'm already protecting myself. So this PrEP gives you power to be in charge. It gives you power to take charge of your sexual health, right? That is just that.
Wow. Thank you so much, Ugo, for really joining us on the show. I've learned so much. I really love talking to you, and I love how passionate you are for this cause. So thank you so much for joining. Well, this brings us to the end of today's show. I hope you really enjoyed it. To my guest who joined us, Ugo Francis, Mr. William King Faisal, I want to say a very big thank you for joining us on the show and sharing your story. I know it took a lot of guts and bravery to be able to do that. So thank you so much. To the audience that watched this conversation, I hope you took something from it, because one, prevention is better than cure. So please always use a condom. However, if you have, or if you already have HIV, it is no longer a death sentence. You can have a full life filled with love, joy, and kindness. If you have not been tested for HIV, please go to your nearest clinic and get tested, because it is better to be diagnosed early. Again, this is a platform to ensure that we break away from shame and stigma associated with HIV. So I hope this conversation did that for you. If you loved our show today, make sure to share, subscribe, like, and comment on this show. Thank you again so much for the support, and thank you for watching. Till next week, my name is Lolo Cynthia. Bye-bye.